All right. Good evening. You know what? It looks like we might have caught people off guard with that shorter revised intro there, Mike.
Yeah, maybe we should hit it again for our one listener.
Yeah. And then I know that we are live on Rumble as well. So we want to welcome anyone that's over there right now. There's nobody there, but like I said, we might have. They're coming on board here now.
Yeah,
Hey, Brian, good to see you. Eric, good to see you guys. We kind of got a jam packed show tonight. We've been covering a lot of things here in the last couple of weeks, but this one here I think is pretty good. We got some things coming out of Colorado, we got some things coming out of Ohio, Maine. It's all these commie states. But before we get started too much, how about we start off the show like we do every single night when we broadcast? Corey, why don't you take it away? We got Corey joining us tonight.
Second Amendment. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
That's right. And I don't know how much more clear that can be. What do you think, Mike?
Well, I think, when they write it like that, it pretty much speaks for itself. But I was talking about that today. Today is National Second Amendment Day, by the way. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not. Wow.
I was on the air today earlier at the radio station and had reminded everybody that not only that, but without the second, you don't have the first.
That's right. And we're seeing that playing out just about every freaking day, it seems like, in the news anymore. Hey, Craig, good to see you. Vance is on board. Vance wasn't going to join us tonight. And that reminds me, we're all Corey's part of this. You are too, Mike. We're all RACS Adventure Team members. And we got news, it was this morning, that we lost one of the members of our crew, Rory. And we'll just leave it at that. He moved up to Tennessee, and he's been there. And we're going to miss that guy. He was a lot of fun.
He was.
And I wish I'd have got to know him a little longer. I know that Vance has known him for probably 40 years. So we want to say prayers out to him and his family. Don't know what happened. It's one of them things. When it's our time, it's our time. So we just want to keep everybody in our prayers as far as losing one of our members of the RACS Adventure Team. So, all right. Hey, people show coming in. Doug, hey, DJ, good to see you. Craig's down there. I know where Craig's from. Anyway, good to have Craig on board. One shot cap. He says, find a girlfriend yet, Corey? All right. Well, I'll tell you what. You want to take lead on this Colorado story, or you got one you want to do before that?
Let's see. On the Colorado story, let me pull it up here real quick so we make sure we're on the right thing. We got so much going on. Is that the red flag laws, or is that the Tillis one?
No, if you want to take one of them, take it. I got them all here. So.
All right. Well,
I thought I'd throw you under the bus tonight.
Yeah, that's okay. I can end it. We're talking about Tillis. Says partisan hacks went too far with the Biden's new gun dealer rule change. Go figure that one.
Oh, imagine that, right?
Yeah. Well, according to the new things under the regulations, it will not matter if a gun is sold on the internet, at a gun show, or at a brick and mortar store. If you sell a gun predominantly to earn profit, you must be licensed and you must conduct a background check, Attorney General Merrick Garland said in a statement.
Yeah, I'm about halfway through the 466-page regulation and rule, which is just a lot of repetition and a lot of reference to case law study. And really, it's all BS. Right. Essentially, what they're trying to do is make any and every single private sale, whether it's at a gun show, whether it's me and Corey, me and you, wherever it takes place, they want to make that so that you have to have basically a dealer's license, which would then make it so you have to have a background check. And let's face it, the only sale that takes place under a background check is one from a dealer, and that's if you're in business. They're redefining what being in business is like, and that's the problem with it. And it's so vague. They said they went and they actually made it better, and they actually defined it. No, they made it so vague that it's not defined, so that pretty much you can actually be charged probably with dealing firearms without a license and spend.
That includes if you, to your relatives, to your sons, to your daughters.
Anybody.
Said
I'm not through it all the way. That's why I haven't really given a good report. I want to make sure I finish the whole darn thing. It's insane. Think about this. 466 pages. A ream of paper is 500.
Right.
So it's a ream of paper to define to define a business or in the business of selling firearms. It's insane.
So if you wanted to become a FFL, you got to pay a fee for that to become a licensed
Yes,
dealer?
you got to
So
have.
they want to get more money out of you too.
Well, I
Essentially.
mean, they're going to get more money out of people, but at the same side, that's not the side they're looking for. What they're
Well,
trying
right,
to
I
do
know,
is
but
to
it's
make it illegal for all of us to
Right.
do, transfers
I
to
mean,
anybody outside a gun store.
and it was something that when Biden ran a really crappy campaign, but when he was campaigning, he wanted to have this done. Merrick Garland, he was all in favor of this when he was nominated. Remember, this guy's nominated under Obama to be the Attorney General of the United States. And he was going to try a recess appointment. The Senate killed it. I will give McConnell credit on that. He made sure that never happened. But they just waited. And then Biden put him in. And unfortunately, our Republican senators from both North and South Dakota voted to put him in there. So
Yep.
nice job, guys.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing you were saying is that you got McConnell that stopped this from going through, but look who's behind him now. If Thune jumps in there, and Thune doesn't have the backbone he had 20 years ago, so I mean, I wonder if he'll be able to stop it.
I don't know, but
No.
Thune has
He's such a
lost his
rhino.
backbone. Although I did notice in one of these articles, Thune did sign on and got, but we'll talk about that here in a little bit. On the Second Amendment, as far as Thune goes, he's pretty good. But then when you actually vote to confirm a communist and a tyrant like Merrick Garland, who has a record of being an anti-Second Amendment man, no. Yes, they serve at the pleasure, the cabinet members of the president. It's mostly a formality, but it's not supposed to be. That's why the Constitution was written the way it was. That's why every confirmation goes through the Senate, and it is the senator's job, each and every one, to see if the person put in front of them is going to be following the Constitution of the United States, serving in a cabinet position. Not a rubber stamp. It's never supposed to be a rubber stamp.
Well, here's what Senator Mark Warner of Virginia said. He said, "I'm glad to see this law take another concrete step forward and close the loopholes that allow some individuals to obtain firearms without a background check."
Yeah, it's insane. And let's Tillis, that's who we started out talking about here. He's a Republican, by the way, Republican senator, and the guy now he's having buyer's remorse and goes, "Oh, the partisan hacks are going too far." Well, what the hell do you think was going to happen?
Yeah.
He voted for the bipartisan Safer Communities Act, and here's what you get. When you vote for something like that, they're going to take every single inch that they can and stretch it out so that they can infringe on rights, and you just can't do that. And that's what they did there. I don't know why these people voted for it, but 15 Republicans joined the Communist Democrat Party.
Well, I can tell you some of those. I'm sure it was Mikalski from Alaska. I'm sure it was what's her name from Maine.
Collins.
Collins from Maine. I'm sure it was a few others of those same ones that always want to, so-called reach across the aisle, but instead they're just basically handing our rights away.
This idea of bipartisanship and kumbaya. No, it's like I tell everybody, I'm not for any kind of compromise on the Bill of Rights, period. Okay. Well, how come you don't work with nobody? Because I'm not interested in compromising rights. And neither should our senators and representatives. I don't want to get along to go along or go along to get along if you're going to be infringing on the Constitution and our rights. And that's why I like guys like a Ted Cruz. I like guys like Rand Paul. Those guys understand exactly. Matt Gaetz is pretty darn good too. And I could go on and on. Them guys get it. And we see the same thing in our own state legislatures, both North and South Dakota. We got the same thing going on. Yeah, and I hope in North Carolina, I didn't look up to see when Thom Tillis is up for re-election, but I hope that them people in North Carolina who soundly threw Nikki Haley under the bus, hopefully they'll throw this guy out as well.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping.
But that's what you get. When you give this kind of power to the Democrat Party and tyrants like Biden, tyrants like Garland, they're going to do this. And so they rewrote the rule. Again, unelected bureaucratic ATF rewrote the rule under the direction of the Department of Justice's Merrick Garland to make each and every one of us a criminal. Gee, where have we seen that before?
Yeah.
Stroke of a pen turns you into a felon. And I, for one, I keep saying I'm going to get a shirt. It's going to say, I do not comply. I'm going to put the ATF and the FBI. I'm going to put all those alphabet agencies on it and see what happens.
Long sleeve shirts. You need to put those on long
Get a
sleeve
big
shirts
one.
that way, because there's a lot of alphabet agencies that we need to talk about. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So, essentially, guys, I believe this is going to create a de facto universal background check. That's what I think it'll create. And you basically now have people, they're going to be looking over their shoulder. I could see this even affecting gun raffles. The way this reading, as I'm reading this, I can see how a raffle could do this. It could even be considered a straw purchase, the way they're trying to define that now in this new ruling, guys. This is a ruling, and after 30 days in the register, it's going to be treated as law, even though it's not. This is a problem. It's a big, big problem. And nobody seems to care. As long as they can go to a football game, or as long as they can go out to eat, we're good. Don't worry about that.
Well, that's what we've always said. It's like, they always say that we on the right don't want to compromise. Well, the compromise is this. We come to the table, and they come to the table and say, we want to take all your guns. Yep. Well, what's the compromise on that one? Well, you're not taking any of my guns. Well, then, see, you don't want to compromise with us. And I'm like going, well, that's not a compromise. That's capitulation.
Yes, and you got to remember
that was my word on my refrigerator this morning.
That was your word of the day. I can tell you this: the idea of a compromise with a Democrat is do it my way, and we compromised. That's otherwise they're not interested. They are not interested in compromising ever. It's do it our way. Cave. We want this. Do it. We wanted this, but we'll settle for this. No, kiss my butt. How about that? How about I vote no? How about I say no, 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 no? And it's insanity. So I'm gonna get to a couple of these comments here. Dave actually chimed in. He's an FFL dealer. That's when we were talking about FFLs, Corey. He says, every few years there's a fee for keep your license. Brian Warner says, so what happens to the guns that aren't transferred? Are they confiscated? That's a really good question, isn't it, Brian? I imagine if they can catch people. I mean, they estimate there's going to be 20,000 people that now have to register and get an FFL, which they'll probably deny.
The ATF and whatever local sheriff that's wrong enough to sign up with the thing will be like that guy we were talking about 2 weeks ago that they show up at 6 a.m. with battering rams and everything else. He thinks his house is being invaded. So what happens? He gets shot in the head. Well, they don't have to go. See how much money they save not going to court?
That's
that's the way they think. Shoot us in the head and we don't have to go to court.
There's just so much of this going on, and the November election is probably the most important one that we're ever going to have. I hope we can have a fair election, or that the win is so big they can't win it. I love the signs I've seen at the rallies. Too big to rig, and essentially that's what we got to be. Yeah. We can't change those rules. We can't fix elections until we can get back in control and put the adults back in charge. Until that happens, we're in trouble. And if we lose this election, like I keep telling everybody, keep your powder dry and get a lot of it and be prepared.
Speaking of election, I seen a thing that right at the border cities or whatever, some of these agencies that are helping with illegal immigration anyway, that's probably not kosher. There's a plastered on the porta-johns and in the offices saying to make sure you vote for Biden this election. So, I mean, they're trying to rig it already.
Well, that's why they got the border wide open.
Yeah.
They're bringing guns across. They're bringing drugs across.
Because they want to keep the border open, so they want everybody to vote for Biden for 4 more years of open border policy.
Absolutely.
Which is BS.
Yep, it really is. I don't know. There's just so much going on. All I can tell everybody is get ready to be able to take care of yourself.
Yep.
Because we are probably heading in that direction, unfortunately. We'll see. I hope not. I don't want to lose this republic. We need to stand. Right now, we need to stand and fight for it. We got a few months.
And one other thing is you got to think, when you're talking about voting, the local elections matter as well. Because your local sheriff, who you put in there depends on who's going to stop them coming into the county line, and let us know and deputize us to keep, the feds from coming up this way.
Absolutely. Hey, guys over on Rumble, I see we got some listeners over there chiming in here and listening. So thanks a lot for chiming in over there and watching on Rumble. That channel keeps growing over there too. So
Hey, we got
someday
big news today. We've got a new sponsor.
we do. Mandan Sporting Goods came back on board with us. They've been a sponsor in the past, and Brandon's got some big news as well. He bought a building. He's going to be moving his business to a new building. We saw it yesterday.
Yep.
I think it's going to be a great location.
Drove by.
I tell you what, I'm looking forward to it. I know Jamie and I, and actually whoever wants to show up there, we're going to try to do, when he does his grand opening, go up
Right.
there and broadcast live on Guns in the 701. We're going to go to our sponsor and have some fun with it. And
Yeah.
I remember we got now 2 gun shops, and that's great. We are a gun show and a Second Amendment-based gun show, so we're proud to have them guys with us, along with our headline sponsor, LAUER Auto Repair. Tell you what, we just keep growing. We got another guy that's interested. He also has an FFL and a gun shop, and I don't think we had a lot of problems with that. You got a lot of ammo at Mandan Sporting Goods. He's got some. I mean, he's probably got everything you need.
Yeah.
You got double Daryl lever actions and older guns. Not that he doesn't have the other things, but that's his deal. And we were able to find you ammo there, Mike. We couldn't find ammo anywhere for you.
Yep.
So when you start looking at that, I think it's a great balance. And of course, you can go down to LAUER Auto. Axe will take care of your vehicle. So yeah, it's just I'm glad to have those sponsors that we got, and can't do it without them.
That's right.
Simple. Anything else you want to add to that particular deal that's happening?
Well, like I said, my main thing is that voting on every level is important this coming election season. We've got elections down here in Mitchell for a few things coming up in June, but every single election, from your city council to your schools, all the way up to the feds, it's important. Don't believe the hype. Get out and use your vote.
Absolutely.
They want you to believe that you can't make a difference.
Well, and I can't stress enough how important it is to check out who's running as a sheriff and who you vote for a sheriff. We have got to get sheriffs in there that protect the people and work for the people. Plain and simple.
Yep.
And if you don't have one, find someone, recruit one. You know what? If you are in law enforcement yourself, run if you're a constitutionalist. Defeat the people who are there for a paycheck and benefits, because we got a lot of them.
Yeah.
I can start naming sheriffs, but I won't. But I can tell you right now, there's a lot of them. They're there for their check. They're there for their benefits. And they're there for the money from the feds that they pump into their damn offices. And then they're beholden. What they have done with federal money is honestly created a de facto federal law enforcement across the nation. We have federal police because a lot of these sheriffs say, oh, I took the money, so now I have to do this. No, you don't. Tell them to stick their money, stick their equipment, and you protect the people of that county. You have the power to do it. And there's very few that understand that anymore.
They could deputize the whole county if they wanted to.
Yep. Harding County, really great. Stark County has a good, even Morton County's is pretty good. There's some things he needs to work on, but for the most part, he's a pretty good guy. And that's just 3 off the top of my head. Carson County, just south here where I'm just right across the border in Perkins County, them guys suck. That's right. I don't care if they hear it. And our new one in Sioux County is a freaking commie as well. I'm telling you guys that neither of them, all 3 of them, they are not with the people. They will be the first ones to try and knock on your door. We got to get rid of them.
Yep. And you do it through voting.
Absolutely. Voting. Gene made that comment. Yeah, we'll go through a few more of these here. A lot of them are coming in here. So Brian Warner, he says, when a trust or something doesn't exist, what happens to your guns? It's a good question. Who knows under this new Department of Justice? Doug up there, he says, is the election time he's trying to cover his butt? Could be. Could be. Dave, the ATF approval is interesting. You do the background check, and after that, they do a one-on-one, several-hour sit-down meeting so they can get a feel of your ethics and inform the future dealer, if approved, of the basic regs.
Yeah.
Bipartisan always means, oh, well, I like this one, Brian. Brian says,
that was me. Sorry. You go ahead.
Okay. Bipartisan always means Republicans grab your ankles. That's right. That's exactly pretty much what that means.
Yep.
Democrats do 2 things. When they compromise, it means you guys better give and do it our way. They also, when they lose, they change the rules. And I've said that for years. When Democrats lose, they change the rules because they can't have that, right? Lynette, she says Republicans have to play their game and early vote. That is happening. I can tell you that there's an effort now, especially in the RNC, the National Committee, and the Trump campaign has been doing it. They actually started playing that game in those states where it's legal. It's sad that it's legal, but you got to play that game. And they do have people. They got boots on the ground. They really do. And now you got the RNC with the change in leadership backing that as well. So hopefully the ground game works. It's not right. It shouldn't exist. But you got states like Michigan. They actually added it now to their constitution that you have a right for mail-in ballots. So now it's part of their actual state constitution. That's horrible. That's a bad thing.
I am a believer in one thing, and that's that whatever the national elections day is on November 4th should be a national holiday, because you should be able to get off work that day to make sure that you can get out and vote, and you can go pick up your friends and make sure they go vote. So I've always said that. I mean, that may be a little bit different for a lot of people, but I truly believe sometimes, it's like whatever excuse, how the human nature is. People look for an excuse and you go, oh, well, I got to get home for supper. And then I may not make it to the polls in time. Well, you know what? Just get there no matter what. That's the main thing. Get there no matter what.
Now, I can't, and I can't tell you if there's a law or not. It'd be something to look it up. Sure. But I can't ever remember working for anybody that didn't let me go to vote. As long as, I was going to vote. Here. Yeah, around here especially. I'm sure there's some out there, time. But most of them are pretty good about that. Hey, we gained one on Rumble, so good to see. Vance says Republicans need to man up, be Republicans, and stop with all the waffling and bowing down the left. They are weak. Well, that's because most of them are not, quote, Republicans. We don't have constitutionalist Republicans as a whole anymore. We see that right here in the state of North Dakota. Yeah, supermajority of Republicans, and what do they advance? Leftist ideology a lot of times. They spend like they're drunken sailors, even though we have so much money and there's no reason to waste it as they do, because we have a lot of Democrats that run as Republicans because they couldn't win in their districts in North Dakota. And I know I catch hell all the time because I think that we need to have voter registration in the state of North Dakota. That'll put a stop to a lot of that, because then you're only handed a Republican ballot. This idea that you can just, oh, yeah, I'm going to vote Republican. That's all you have to do. You just have to pledge you're going to be a Republican and vote Republican. You can be a Republican. Yeah, well, that has about as much weight as Biden's promises.
Yeah.
And I do. And then you have your base. I worked in a lot of campaigns. When you've got that registration list for your party in your state, that makes a huge difference as to build your base. Yep. In North Dakota, you don't know who's in the base. I mean, You might have the 1,500, 200, 2,000 or so registered, and they're not registered, Republican members of the North Dakota GOP, but you don't truly know if they are Republicans or constitutionalists. I mean, you got Perry Schaefer's of the world here, who are horrible and horrendous tyrants, thinks he's a Republican and a constitutionalist, and only concern he was electing Republicans, whether they were good or not. We can't
whether they were good or not. Well, I mean, what good is that?
Yeah. Well, that's their thought. That's their thought process. They like to control. They're all about the power. And when we basically threw him out of our district as the chairman, and they threw him out of the chair of the state of South Dakota, that was a huge win, and it was a huge message. But trust me, they never quit. They keep coming back, and they're just like Democrats. They're just like a virus. They just keep coming back till you squash them completely. So,
well, that's because that's where the teat is. I mean, you think about it. They're just guys looking for a check again. It's those guys that jump on both sides of the aisle. Those are the guys looking for checks. Yes. For a payday.
Yep. And if you're up in that Bismarck area, which I know we have a lot of people that listen from the Bismarck area, you guys got a new problem up there with Marquardt stepping down. You guys got just leftists that are going to run for your city commission. So hopefully someone steps up. I know there's a effort for a write-in campaign. I'm not going to say who it is yet because nothing's been announced. Write-in campaigns are tough, but they are doable because the deadlines are passed now to file. So you guys better get pretty vigilant up there. You're going to see some really bad things come into your city commission in Bismarck if you don't. I'm telling you, it's not going to be good, because your city commission is always been teetering on whether they're going to stay on the constitutional side or go down the communist side. So guys, get involved if you're in Bismarck and check out what's going on up there, because there are problems right now that are going to happen in the city of Bismarck if the election goes wrong and nobody runs and steps up and runs that has a good moral standing, a good moral basis, and a good constitutional uh, ideology. So
there shouldn't be a seat in the entire United States that is not contested. I mean, there shouldn't be any of these people just,
you would think,
riding
right?
the coattails every single year, every single election cycle, and never being challenged, especially on the Democratic side.
Well, but look what they're doing. I mean, look what's happening. This kind of going off of what our subjects were tonight, but that's fine. Look what happened in the United States Congress, the actual House of Representatives. We got Republicans that are stepping down for no reason. Oh, I'm retiring now. Or you get a McCarthy, I'm taking my toys and going home. Yeah, I mean, the guy in Wisconsin, he wouldn't step down till whatever, April, whatever it was, so that they couldn't have a special election. He'd rather that seat go unfilled
Right.
than to actually have a special election and fill it with another Republican. That and we have such a slim margin. I mean, when you look at what they're doing, do they intentionally want to hand this to the Democrats before the end of the year? Remember, the new Congress does not come into office till the first Monday or Tuesday of January when they take their oath after the election. I'm telling you right now, I think it's a coordinated effort. You can tell who the rhinos have been, or I call them traitors, because they're stepping down. And if they intentionally hand this to Hakeem, a vile socialist liberal, and they'll pass, because there's no stopping it in the Senate.
No.
You'll see a barrage of things in a lame duck Congress passed like you've never seen before. This is serious stuff. So if you have a rep that's thinking about stepping down, call their office and stand on them hard. You got to keep them under your thumb, because there's no reason for any of them not to finish out their terms.
I guarantee you that you got to think about this. The Democrats are calling, so you better be calling too.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, let's get to a few more comments here. Gene, he made the comment. He says, "Get out and vote. Don't just bitch." Absolutely. He said, if illegals were voting Republican, there would be 100-foot wall. Probably right. It'd probably be more. Not just that, it'd be constantly guarded with convoys. I mean, that would happen. Eric's got in here. He said, it's not that hard to figure it out. If we put God back in government, everything would change drastically for the better. Absolutely, Eric. They've kicked God pretty much out, especially in the Democrat side. I mean, let's just face it. You listen to them speak. You listen to their pundits speak. These people have no moral compass or God in their life. If they get back to Scripture and get back to where we should be, God would bless this nation once again, wouldn't he? I believe that wholeheartedly too. And I don't worry as much about it, except I'd like to enjoy it while I'm here. A free country.
Yeah.
But I do trust. I trust in him. I trust in God, and whatever he wills, that's what we'll go with. But I would like to fight and resist the communists and let's call them. They're probably guided by Satan himself. I've got no use for the Democrat Party at this point, and I've got no use for a lot of Republicans in our own party anymore. One shot. He says the whole Biden administration is a joke. Well, it is, because Biden's
100%.
not in charge. I don't know who pulls the strings. I think it's multiple people. I mean, Obama stayed in D.C., one of the first presidents to stay in D.C. after he left office.
Kind of fishy.
Yeah. Kenny Lanou. Am I late to the conversation? He says, what the heck is up with Kelly Armstrong and that girly 3 fingers up shooting his ball?
I haven't seen that one.
I don't know. Kelly Armstrong is, of course, running for governor of the state of North Dakota and not running for the House of Representatives. I don't like the candidates we have right now in North Dakota. Not as far as the main candidates from the main parties. I can tell you right now, as much as I would love to see somebody other than Kelly Armstrong win, I'm pretty sure he's going to win the primary. I can tell you that his votes in Congress on the Second Amendment were pretty solid. They're about as solid as most. They're probably better than most. But there's so many other things wrong with him. I don't know. There shouldn't be any wavering. There really shouldn't. Look at the party platform in North Dakota, and then compare the candidates when you go to vote and see if they follow it. If they don't vote for them. If you got a choice. In the primary, we do have a choice. There's other people, and I will be voting for somebody else. But unfortunately, I'm pretty sure that Kelly Armstrong is going to win that primary. He's got the name recognition. So
right.
Dave, don't just vote. Go to the meetings. Be vocal. Be known. There are so many people out there just as pissed as you. That's right, Dave. Dave knows that firsthand. Dave got involved with our District 31 Republicans. In fact, he's an executive committee man, and he just ran and he got in there. So there was a lot of people that have a distrust of the people in charge and put new people in there. So get involved. Go to the meetings. Make your voice heard. Don't just sit there either. Ask questions. I remember when I first got there, I asked a lot of questions, and I can tell you, I pissed off the establishment people, but I didn't care.
Right.
Not that I ever have.
No.
I'm pretty shy, and I don't say much, right?
Yeah.
So, anyway, we kind of got off track there, but it kind of goes to it follows what's happening when you look at a Tillis, and he voted. And now that was a vote to go along to get along, and what did get him now? A whole bunch of crap that he don't like.
Right.
That's what you get. That's what you
Well,
get.
let's go ahead and hit some commercials real quick and get some stuff done here real quick. And we got our new sponsors in there as well, so we're good to go.
Go for it.
Oh, are you going to hit it or am I?
No, go ahead. I guess you can do it live. Hey, thanks to LAUER Auto Repair.
Located at 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Give them a call at 701-258-6308.
The team of mechanics at LAUER Auto can take care of any problem your vehicle is having. And when you do business with LAUER, you can be assured you're doing business with a pro Second Amendment America First repair shop. There are plenty of other auto repair shops in the Bismarck-Mandan area. But why take a chance at patronizing a shop that might not have your beliefs at heart? Make no mistake. LAUER Auto is your pro Second Amendment repair shop. When you talk to the guys at LAUER Auto, don't forget to tell them that you heard they are a sponsor of Guns and the 701 and that you appreciate their support of our pro Second Amendment, pro North Dakota live stream and podcast. That's LAUER Auto Repair, 701-258-6308.
701-258-6308.
Located 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Discover the world of firearms at Bismarck's Double H Gun Shop. With a wide range of products from handguns to rifles, we cater to all your shooting needs. We are your local gun experts. Not only do we sell firearms, reloading supplies, targets, and whatever your heart desires, but we also have a ton of knowledge and answers.
We shoot, we hunt, we compete, we reload.
It's been the Howard's way since 1976, and we ain't fixing to change anything. Visit our website at hhgunshop.com to browse our inventory. Double H Gun Shop, Bismarck's best new and used firearm reloading supply, gunsmithing, and sporting goods store. Double H Guns.
Double H Guns.
1021 South Washington Street, Bismarck, North Dakota. Call 701-223-4888.
Every American's right to bear arms. At Mandan Sporting Goods, we're here to help you support your Second Amendment rights, which reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Whether you're looking for a pistol for personal defense or collector gun, we have the staff to help you. We also have the area's largest inventory of ammo and reloading supplies.
Mandan Sporting Goods, the area's local gun and ammo specialists.
All right, welcome back, everybody.
We're back.
We figured it out finally, right?
Yeah, finally. We just got to figure out who has to hit the buttons once in a while.
Yeah. We're going to have to update, though, that commercial for Mandan Sporting Goods. I don't think you can buy them lowers and things like that for that amount of money anymore. I know that's an older commercial, but we didn't make that one. He had that made years ago, and he's still using it. I've actually seen it on other stations. So, thank everybody, and thanks again to have Mandan Sporting Goods come back on board. So thanks to all of our sponsors. LAUER Auto Repair, of course, 701-258-6308. 309 South Washington Street. I'm telling you right now, get that vehicle in there. Spring's here. You better be out getting it ready. Go fishing, go traveling, pulling your camp or whatever it might be.
Mud bogging.
Mud bogging. Yeah.
Mud bogging.
Some go mud
It's wet out there.
Lynette says Kelly is still a way better choice than Commie Tammy Miller. Absolutely. When it comes down to who's going to win this, Kelly will win. I'm sure the primary, and I will vote for Kelly Armstrong in the general, because I definitely will not vote for the Democrat. I will not do that. Kelly is much better than Miller, much better than any Democrat that's going to come facing off either. But you know what? Sometimes it's a sad, but it's a choice of the lesser of evils. But I will tell you this: that Kelly on the Second Amendment has been pretty solid, so I can live with that. I'm pretty sure he'd never ever sign a red flag law because he spoke extensively about it in the Judiciary Committee several times since he's been in the House of Representatives in opposition in the U.S. Congress. So pretty much that tells me.
Don't forget, Tammy Miller's got, she knows how to work a shotgun.
Yeah.
So do I.
Yeah. And I will be voting for Rick Becker in the primary. I endorse Rick Becker. That guy is a constitutionalist to the core. This new guy that got endorsed, remember, we didn't have it. There's no chance to endorse Rick Becker because of the Perry Schaefers of the world changing the rules so that being he ran as an independent, that he cannot be represented or seek the endorsement. And Rick knew that when he did it, but I think Rick felt, as I did, John Hoeven needed to go, so you had to do that. Everyone kind of gives Rick shit about that. I don't. I applaud him because he stood up. He actually stood his ground, put his name put it on the line, and rolled the dice at the expense of his reputation. You know, I don't know why when we all say, "Oh, we don't like who we got," but when someone steps up because they can't be part of the process, then they chastise him for it. Well, kiss my butt. I was proud that Rick Becker did that, and Rick did the right thing. We had to challenge that commie John Hoeven, and unfortunately, John got back in there. They bust in people at our state convention and changed the rules once again to get him in there and get him in there as an endorsed candidate. But it's neither here nor there. I can tell you right now, Rick Becker is the constitutionalist in the race for the United States Congress, and I will probably be supporting him.
Yep. Good job on that one.
Well,
I mean, I'm not too bad down
Rick.
here. I got Dusty Johnson, and although the little squirt is sometimes a little wiry around me, he still gets the job done. So, you know, as far as the Second Amendment goes, I don't worry about that. So that's the good side of it. So, like I said, you know, we've got our issues, and you don't stray from those issues, and we're fine.
Yeah, the old Alfred E. Newman, Dusty Johnson. I'm not a fan of his, but
Me neither.
you could have it worse. You really could.
Right.
In South Dakota.
Holy moly!
Yeah, got a big long one there.
I know somebody was typing away while we're in
Kenny, he replied on that. Well, let's read Lynette's, you know, because Kelly is still a way better choice. He replies to Lynette that, okay, sorry, but Kelly blows with the wind. He has zero respect for our military. I've seen it firsthand. I'll never forget him on the radio telling Jay Thomas, oh, I like Jay, by the way, I've been on his show too, that I am scared when COVID hit. We don't have great choices, but Kelly has shown his true colors and admitted he cannot accomplish anything in the House. Just my opinion. You're not wrong, Kenny. As far as Second Amendment, though, he's got a very good voting record. I don't like Kelly. I really don't. That's why I'll be voting. I'm going to be voting for Michael Coachman in the primary. I'll just say it. I know Michael's not going to win it, and but I know he's a Christian. He's got a very good moral compass. He's definitely a constitutionalist. If there's anybody that knows the Constitution better than me, it's probably him. I'm telling you, the guy knows his Constitution. And if he doesn't win the primary, then I will not vote for the Democrat that faces Kelly Armstrong if he is the victor in the primary, which I assume he's going to be. Not that that's what I want, but you don't have no choice. You cannot vote Democrat. Nobody can vote Democrat this cycle. They just can't. That's my opinion.
Nope. I totally agree with that one. So, you know, we want to go on to some other stories here. Maine is in the news. So, yeah, we've got them there. House of Representatives has advanced a bill to allow civil lawsuits against gun manufacturers and do the quotations. We got to have some graphics for quotations. Quotations, manufacturer who irresponsibly market and sell firearms. Well, what else do gun manufacturers do? They sell. I mean, but the thing about it is, I sell a kitchen knife and it gets used. I sell a car and it gets used against something. I sell a baseball bat. I sell a wooden club, an axe handle, whatever. And somebody goes off and attacks people with it. Well, what are we going to do? We're going to go after all of them with that? You know, I've got you know, things come over my phone all day long from all over the world where people are being attacked by knives and, you know, and all these other things all day long, you know, and it usually takes, you know, a group of people to take them down. Of course, here in America, we've still got the Second Amendment. So if we got somebody out there who's carrying, they can go down pretty fast. But, it's just another one of these things out of Maine,
Yeah.
one of my former states.
And I can tell you right now, Maine, they're not the only one. There's other states that are trying to do the same thing. It'll be challenged if they do pass it. It will be a waste of time because it will be challenged in Bruin, based on Bruin with the historical reference. It will be thrown out. They can't do it. We also already have a federal law that supersedes the state laws on this, and the Protection and Lawful Commerce of Firearms Act. That was passed under the George Bush era, and rightfully so, to protect the firearms manufacturers, because you had the same lawyers that went after the tobacco companies were starting to go after the gun manufacturers, and they put a stop to it, thank goodness, because they saw what happened with tobacco.
Yep.
And we won't get started on that whole thing. And the taxes that are collected on firearm sales, they like that. I mean, people, they seem to, all them parks and all them recreation areas and things like that you leftists love. You know who pays for the majority of that? Taxes raised off of the sale of firearms, ammunition, fishing gear, and anything else that does with it. So, you know what? If you don't want to have those things, which I don't really want to have a lot of in public spaces, I don't think government has the right to own property like that, but they do exist. They exist because of us, the gun owners, the hunters, the fishermen, the outdoorsmen. So you better look at it and see where that money actually comes from. But with them passing this, and it goes to the Senate now, we'll see how it does. I imagine what's going to happen if it gets signed and becomes law in Maine. It's going to be challenged. I like, though, how they took that particular bill I was talking about, and you'll love this, guys. There's a clause in there, as with anything, that it is an exception, and that is with defective firearms or when businesses knowingly violate state statutes regarding the sale or marketing of the firearm. So this bill that Millett put out said that they were going to establish state standards and provide a basis for those lawsuits to move forward based on those two exceptions. Well, one has nothing to do with the other. And well, it's a communist state, poor Maine. I mean, there's good people there. There's conservatives that live way up in the north part of that. But as with any of those states, they're controlled by the populist area. And I can tell you right now that it will do nothing. It won't stop nothing. Except cause a lot of money and a lot of grief. I imagine if I had a gun company in Maine, I'd pull it out and move to a different state, as a lot of them have already done. From Maine and all. Well, New York, Maine, you just name all of those companies that used to be up there in the east. They've all moved. A lot of them have. So I don't blame them. You got to get out of it. I don't blame them at all. So I don't know. What's your take on this?
Well, one of the things is like we've had Vance has said many times is like 20,000 gun laws on the books, and you know what? We don't enforce them unless we particularly want to go after somebody or on some hook or crook thing. But we don't enforce what they got. But let's add more. That's exactly what we do. Let's add more laws, more to the minutia, more to the muddy the waters, and let's just make everybody a criminal. Basically, is what they're going to say. Because if you own a gun, you're in the wrong. That's what they think. Because
and not just that, Mike. It's not just 20,000 laws. That's just the federal laws.
Yeah.
That doesn't include all the different state laws, and in some states, their county laws and their municipality laws. No, that's just the federal register where the law. I mean, everything's under U.S. Title 18 pretty much in the United States Code. And I'm telling you right now, there's probably closer to 30 because when those estimates were made, I mean, that's over 10 years ago. They've passed a lot of laws since. So.
Yep.
And they won't do anything. I mean, let's just face it. They will not do anything. By the way, it only cleared the House of Representatives in Maine by 4 votes. 6 Democrats actually joined. Well, 6 Democrats joined the Republicans in opposition. So I was glad to see that.
Yeah.
4 votes. So maybe not all is lost, hopefully, in Maine. Now, there must be some. There was at least 6 people who thought that was a bad idea on the Democrat side. Oh, I'm telling you, I know that why we've seen so much of this, and it has to do with Bruin. None of them ever thought Bruin would be seen in our favor. Bruin set precedent for the entire country. Everything's based on Bruin now. We had Heller, which was great. That was in D.C., but then they finagled that around in the courts.
They chipped away at it.
Well, because it only applied to D.C., but nearly not to
Mhm.
the states. Well, Bruin applied to all the states, just as when they decided other issues on the left, different rulings applied to every state. This one here, that's how they didn't want this one to do it. It was good
Right.
for them, but not for us. And well, they're wrong. And now you're going to see the lawsuits come.
Well, we do in every single state, and they are just barraging every court, every legislative with all these anti-gun laws that basically are just filling up the courts. Now, here's once again we talk about the courts being dysfunctional. I mean, they're already overdone and overtaxed, and they can't get regular business of the courts done. Now they've got all these lawsuits that, to me, are frivolous lawsuits. Like I said, Bruin is the state law of the land. If you can't pass a certain critique to pass Bruin, then you can't bring that to a court. That's what I think should be done. I mean, it needs to be said.
To be thrown out, it really should. So we got some comments coming in on that. Kenny, he says, gun manufacturers need to wake up and get out of the liberal states. They'd be welcome with open arms in states like North Dakota. I understand that is the state they started in, and they want to stay there in their home states, but those states aren't friendly anymore. Well, that, she says, exactly, Kenny, and it is right, exactly, Ken. I'm telling you, and some of them have moved. I mean, look at Marlin, Remington. They closed it. They actually moved, and they're in the process of building more. It sounds like Henry now is possibly going to leave New York along with Kimber, which I never thought Henry Firearms would ever leave. That's not confirmed, but I did hear that might be a possibility. They've been there forever. That's a family-owned business. But enough is enough. How much do you put up with?
Why do you defend your state when your state no longer defends you?
Yeah, and New York is a loss as far as a state goes in their politics. There's great people. You get upstate New York, you run into the conservatives.
Well, it's just like up in
New York City.
North Dakota. How many votes come out of Fargo and sway everything? But you know what? The rest of the state is looking at them like, no, that's not the way this state thinks. But no, we've got all these implants coming in, just like I've got Sioux Falls on my side on 605, and it's the same way. Or as I call it, what is West? They're West Minnesota. So I mean,
well, we call Fargo. That's just a suburb of Minneapolis.
Right. Yeah. Same way over here.
Wow. I just glanced over a lot of people over on Rumble, 14, 15 now. That's a good showing on Rumble. So happy to have you over there. I really wish that I could figure out how to put the live chat feed into this. I will someday. I'll get there. But there's a lot to this. Vance puts up there, Remington came to Georgia and welcomed with open arms. Absolutely.
There you go.
And
I think South Dakota, North Dakota would welcome all these people. And we know we've got governors here in South Dakota. We know we've got good people up in North Dakota. And you know what? Sure, it'd be an injection in the arm of the whole economy.
Absolutely. And there's actually quite a few gun manufacturers in the Dakotas. They're small, but they do exist, and we're glad to have them. Having that Fargo, Grand Forks, Minot, absolutely. All three of those cause a problem. Bismarck's changing too. I watch the patterns of votes every single election cycle, and our margin of winning is getting smaller. It keeps shrinking. It's going to continue to shrink if we don't get a grip on this. And I'm not going to go into why, and it's the way we redistrict up here and what happens at our legislature based on that. But that's a whole nother story as far as that goes. And it's going to take a North Dakota constitutional change to change that. It's not like down South Dakota, Mike, where you guys have your representatives are actually elected according to the population of their district, and then your senators are set. No. Ours are a set rep and a set senator, 2 reps, 1 senator per district. And districts change and boundaries change with each census. So your populated areas, guess what? They get more, while the big rural areas get bigger, and they lose reps and they lose senators because you can only have 47 districts in this state. So
plus, you get a bad law go through in North Dakota, it's there for at least 2 years because you can't the legislation's not in.
And then with the way it is up here, it's probably there for 50 years. It's pretty bad. It's actually worse than South Dakota. I never thought I'd say that till I got involved, but South Dakota functions much better than North Dakota. So, all right, we better pay a few more bills here. So we're going to run another ad and thank some sponsors. Are you doing it or am I?
What are we doing? 1 or 2?
We'll do 2. Let's do it.
All right. Well, here we go. Then we'll do this.
I'm with the Port Commission.
I'm from the Athlete's Foot Foundation.
Brother. Hey, can you get my demo tape to somebody?
Repair, located at 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Give them a call at 701-258-6308.
The team of mechanics at LAUER Auto can take care of any problem your vehicle is having. And when you do business with LAUER, you can be assured you're doing business with a pro Second Amendment America First repair shop. There are plenty of other auto repair shops in the Bismarck-Mandan area. But why take a chance at patronizing a shop that might not have your beliefs at heart? Make no mistake.
Make no mistake.
LAUER Auto is your pro Second Amendment repair shop. When you talk to the guys at LAUER Auto, don't forget to tell them that you heard they are a sponsor of Guns and the 701 and that you appreciate their support of our pro Second Amendment, pro North Dakota live stream and podcast. That's LAUER Auto Repair, 701-258-6308.
701-258-6308.
Located 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Discover the world of firearms at Bismarck's Double H Gun Shop. With a wide range of products from handguns to rifles, we cater to all your shooting needs. We are your local gun experts. Not only do we sell firearms, reloading supplies, targets, and whatever your heart desires, but we also have a ton of knowledge and answers.
We shoot, we hunt, we compete, we reload.
It's been the Howard's way since 1976, and we ain't fixing to change anything. Visit our website at hhgunshop.com to browse our inventory. Double H Gun Shop, Bismarck's best new and used firearm reloading supply, gunsmithing, and sporting goods store. Double H Guns.
Double H Guns.
1021 South Washington Street, Bismarck, North Dakota. Call 701-223-4888.
All right.
Hey,
So,
Clay, I noticed something real quick on the Double H Guns. So he does gun classes there as well, doesn't he?
They do. They do gun classes there for your concealed carry permits. I believe you can get both of them. We call it, I think, Class 1 and Class 2 versus South Dakota has enhanced and regular or something like that. But yeah,
we should get him and we should get Mandam and see when their schedules are and put it on our website, gunsinthe701.com, because that's a good thing for people to know.
we should. You know what? We'll get on that. And I still got to get you your credentials to log in because I think you'll have fun on the website modifying it too. It's not as hard as everyone thinks. So
I know. Right now, I just play around and make the funny stuff.
And I know that Mandan Sporting Goods used to do classes. I don't know if he still does, but I imagine now with the new building he bought, I have to assume he's probably going to have some kind of classes going on there too. We got a listener that gives classes, Dan Brown over there in Dickinson, and I know that I want to get over there. I think we're going to get a few people to try and go over there and take some classes from Dan. So yeah, I could care less anymore, except I'd like to have it in North Dakota, because then I do not have to do the 4473. Our permit takes care of that. That's a substitute. You don't have to do NICS if you have a state one that qualifies. So, and then I can carry in other states that require it. Josh Patterson just chimed in. He said, I believe only Class 2 at Double H Personal Defense Center though does 1 and 2. There we go. And Personal Defense Center, I guess I'll get a free plug. They're over there on Airport Road. I know Nick was very involved there for a long time. I can't tell you if he is now. I imagine he still is, but they got a great indoor range there too. So
yeah,
I really do. If you want to go to a nice private indoor range, Personal Defense Center has a great one. All right. Well,
I got to get mine.
Dan. Okay.
Dan's got some there.
Since you mentioned it, I think some of the voters swing to the left in North Dakota is due to the actions of some of the Republicans way out on the far right. It could be, Dan. No, and I don't know what you would consider far right, but I do. That could be some of it, but I don't know. I think the voter swing from watching the population growth when I crunched the numbers over the last 15 years, it's coming from the Fargo and Grand Forks areas primarily, and the biggest influx of people into those two areas, according to the census numbers, aren't even from our country. They are brought here by groups like Luther Social Services at one time. Now it's North Dakota's Health and Human Services, and of course Catholic Social Services. A lot of also came from the Minneapolis area, from Minnesota, trying to escape out there, but they brought their ideology with them. And you almost can take the percentages of wins between Republican and Democrat candidates and they darn near overlap each other over a 15-year deal. When I did that showed the increase in a Democrat vote. So, I mean, there could be something to it, Dan, but the numbers don't lie either. And I did those because I've been watching this for the last 15 years, and I'm telling you, it's not a good result. You're seeing the same thing in South Dakota, too. And there, Corey's got his concealed carry permit. There you go. But, no, good point, though. So I'd like to actually – what if we could figure that out?
We're talking about down here in 605 down in Mitchell at the Masonic Lodge, talking about bringing in the gun class and the concealed gun class and all that, so we can get what is it? The gold? What is it? The
in South
gold
Dakota?
concealed?
I'm not even sure what you guys got down there.
Three.
Now.
There's the one that I have is just your normal, and then there's an enhanced, and then there's a gold too.
There you go.
Yeah. So the enhanced and the gold lets you. You still have to do an FFL, but I don't think you have to go through all the rigmarole with normal stuff. But
I don't know. I haven't checked into it. I just went. I like to have the card because I like holding that. So if there's ever a question, yes, I do have it.
I know a lot of agencies want to put everything on your phone, so that it's on your phone. And you know what? I don't know. I
don't put nothing on my phone.
I like my papers. Products.
Now, I still am I'm old enough to still like it in my hand. Still like it right there.
Me too.
Yes, absolutely. So let's we want to do the badass of the week. So I think, Mike, why don't we hit on one more of these subjects? And I think we got two of them, but I think we're just going to ditch the one, and maybe we'll use that Friday on Mitchell in the Morning.
Okay.
And I'm kind of thinking, let's hit on this Attorney General out of Ohio, rather than the Colorado. We can hit the Colorado thing pretty easy on Friday morning.
Right.
Well, Attorney General Dave Yost, and he's got 18 other state attorney generals with him. They're challenging the new federal initiative aimed at bolstering the enforcement of red flag gun confiscation laws. If you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, I've covered this on Mitchell in the Morning. We've covered it right here. Essentially, with the creation, and that comes from the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, and I forget what the number was on it, but it was millions. It was a big number. Now they have the National Extreme Risk Protection Order Resource Center, which is buried in the gun control office created by the White House. Think about all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what this means is they're going to shuffle and funnel money to states. They're going to bribe them. They're going to say, here, take this money, but you have to do this. And it's to create a red flag law in your state, even if it's illegal, by giving money, because you'll have to do certain things in either the police or the sheriff's office. It's mainly targeted at that to actually get this money from the feds. Again, federal money is not free, and it comes with strings. Don't take it. We got to quit taking the federal money because government makes nothing, sells nothing, and produces nothing. They only have money if they take it from you and me.
Well, they do in taxes.
That's what I'm talking about.
It's our money. It's not federal
and we
money
need to quit taking it as states, counties, cities. It has to happen. And I know I get hammered all the time. I don't really care. You have to quit. Yes. It's like an addict. It's like a drug addict. You guys are addicted to federal money. Get off of it. Anyway, to go on to this.
I totally agree with that, and it also joins in the line of, I wonder about that the White House's new gun agency that they've created, basically the sensible gun crap. Mm-hmm. When Biden's out of there, doesn't that go away? Since it's I
hope it does.
Because that's the way.
It don't have to. That's the problem. Yeah. It's funded through the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act. That's where the money comes from. That's why they should have. That was like an 1,100 or 1,200 page bill. Should have never been passed ever, right. And it only passed because Republicans in the House caved and helped them pass it.
And they probably never read the whole thing.
No, they didn't. So. They got it like the night before. So here's what the Attorney General. He's basically they're filing. They've sent a letter to Merrick Garland. I do have a copy of it. I'm not going to go through it all, but you can look it up pretty easily. Basically telling them, hey, we don't like this. We're going to challenge this. Basically, you guys are infringing on state laws that we already have against red flag laws, and it's undermining the authority and the sovereignty of the state, and that is the truth. Mm-hmm. So I was happy to see that Drew Wrigley from North Dakota, he signed on to it, And the Attorney General out of South Dakota also signed on, along with Montana and Wyoming and some of the other states.
I expect Jackley in here in South Dakota to go along with that. I mean, he's pretty strong. He's no nonsense.
Yes, and I'm glad to see that he did it. These red flag laws are not at half quite yet, but that's a lot of states that have some form of a extreme protection order, which I'm going to announce later towards the end of the show here. We got a special guest coming on I think it's next week already, on the 24th, and we're going to be talking about extreme protection orders and things like it, especially when you're going through a divorce in North Dakota. So you want to tune into that show next week.
I know.
But
one more way
anyway,
to chip away at us.
I'm glad to see Attorney General Yost doing this. I'm glad to see that our own Attorney General signed on to this. So you have 19 total states that are saying, listen, butt out, quit. You need to quit doing it. So they want them to terminate the program, and I completely 100% support.
And the attorneys have put the skepticism about the DOJ's decision to collaborate with Johns Hopkins Center, which is funded in a big part by Bloomberg now, and also other institutions, obviously for strict gun control measures. I mean, you're getting your paperwork and your so-called polls and all that from the left side that wants to take away the guns to begin with. I mean, that's like asking, the wolf, how do you protect the sheep? And it's just not how you do it.
No, absolutely. But like I said, that was a little short segment. There wasn't much on it yet. Just they wrote a letter, they signed on to it, and they're telling them to basically quit. You need to terminate the program. And I agree with it. And I was glad to see that we have 19 total states that are in agreement on that. So
should be more.
Should be more. But I'm glad to see that those did. And it's not half, but we're close. So
right.
So with that, I know that we're going to do the badass of the week. It is a little bit longer. Do you want to take them, kind of give them a little intro to that, Mike, and then we'll
well, I gotta say, I tried once again. I mean, I know I went with I was trying to remember all the guys I've done so far, but I've been recording so much stuff. A couple of them that have gone a little longer, like 10 minutes. This one went even longer because he just did so much, and really, there's just nothing I could do to edit it down to really make it very short. So the problem is, it came out a little long. But we got a little time. I want you to hold on to it and watch it and share it as well when we post it tomorrow on our social medias at gunsin701.com and well. But Chuck Yeager, we're going to go ahead and tell you that real quick. Chuck Yeager is today's badass. So,
and I will tell everybody that Mike and I have talked. We're in talks right now, I think, with a guy. We're going to be looking for a sponsor specifically for that segment, and we might have, hopefully by next week we can have one. But just so everybody knows, we're going to make this a regular thing, and we enjoy all the support from our sponsors. So,
all right.
I guess take her away.
All right, so here we go with our badass of the week. All right, what's up, badasses? That's right, it's gunsin701.com's weekly Badass of the Week. And this week, we go back just a little bit before World War II, and we talk about, well, Charles Elwood Yeager, born February 13th, 1923, raised in Hamlin, West Virginia. Now, Yeager had two brothers, Roy and Hal Jr., and two sisters, Doris Ann, who was accidentally killed at age 1, and Pansy Lee. His cousin Steve Yeager happened to be a professional baseball catcher, just in case you're looking for trivia. He attended Hamlin High School, where he played basketball and football, receiving his best grades in geometry and typing. Yeager enlisted as a private in the U.S. Army Air Force on September 12, 1941, and became an aircraft mechanic at George Air Force Base in Victorville, California.
Now, at enlistment, Yeager was not eligible for flight training because of his age and educational background. But with the entry of the U.S. into World War II less than 3 months later at Pearl Harbor, that prompted the United States Air Force to alter its recruiting standards. Yeager had unusually sharp vision. His visual acuity rated at 2010, which once enabled him to shoot a deer at 600 yards with iron sights. At the time of his flight training acceptance, he was a crew chief on an AT-11. He received his pilot wings and a promotion to flight officer at Luke Field, Arizona, where he graduated from Class 43C on March 10, 1943. He was then assigned to the 357th Fighting Group at Tonopah, Nevada. He initially trained as a fighter pilot, flying a Bell P-39 Ares Cobras, and then being grounded for 7 days for clipping a farmer's trees during a training flight. Then he shipped overseas with the group on November 23, 1943. Stationed in the United Kingdom at RF Leiston, Yeager flew P-51 Mustangs in combat with the 363rd Fighter Squadron. He named his aircraft Glamorous Glen after his girlfriend, Glennis Faye Dickhouse, who would later become his wife in February of 1945. Yeager gained one victory before he was shot down over France in his first aircraft on March 5, 1944, on his 8th mission. Now, he escaped to Spain on March 30th, 1944, with the help of the Marquise, the French resistance, and returned to England on May 15th, 1944. During his stay with the Marquise, Yeager assisted the guerrillas in duties that did not involve direct combat, but he did help construct bombs for the group, a skill that he had learned from his father. And I found no other information on that other than I want to know more. I wish my dad taught me how to build bombs. He was awarded a Bronze Star for helping a navigator, Omar M. Pat Patterson, Jr., to cross the Pyrenees, despite a regulation prohibiting evaders or escape pilots for flying over enemy territory again, the purpose of which was to prevent resistance groups from being compromised by giving the enemy a second chance to possibly capture them. Now, Yeager was reinstated to fly combat. He had joined another evader, fellow P-51 pilot First Lieutenant Fred Glover, in speaking directly to Supreme Allied Commander General Dwight D. Eisenhower on June 12, 1944. In a quote, "I raised so much hell that General Eisenhower finally let me go back to my squadron." That's my Yeager impersonation. He was cleared for combat after D-Day because all the free Frenchmen, the Marquise and people like that, had surfaced and told all the stories about what Yeager had done to help them. Now, Eisenhower, after gaining permission from the War Department, decided to request that Yeager and Glover be reinstated and be able to fly, well, combat anywhere. In the meantime, Yeager shot down his second enemy aircraft, a German Junker 88 bomber over the English Channel. Now, the P-51D-20NA, otherwise known as Glamorous Glen 3, is the aircraft in which Yeager achieved most of his aerial victories. Now, Yeager demonstrated outstanding flying skills and combat leadership. On October 12, 1944, he became the first pilot in his group to make ace in a day. That means downing 5 enemy aircraft in a single mission. Now, the fun part on that, 2 of these victories were scored without firing a single shot. He was running low on ammo. He flew into a firing position against a Messerschmitt Bf-109. The pilot of the aircraft, the German, broke to the port and ended up colliding with his wingman. Now, Yeager said both pilots bailed out. He finished the war with 11.5 official victories, including one of his first air-to-air victories over a jet fighter, the German Messerschmitt Me-262 that he shot down as it was on final approach for landing. Yeager was commissioned second lieutenant while at Leiston and promoted to captain before the end of his tour. He flew his 61st and final mission on January 15, 1945, and returned to the United States early February 1945. Now, as an invader, he received his choice of assignments. And because his new wife was pregnant, he chose Wright Field near his home in West Virginia. Now, his high number of flight hours and maintenance experience qualified him to become a functioning test pilot of repaired aircraft, which brought him under the command of Colonel Albert Boyd, head of the Aeronautical Systems Flight Test Division and a test pilot himself. Now, this is where it gets fun and it gets fast fast, pretty darn quick. Yeager remained in the U.S. Army Air Force after the war, becoming a test pilot at Marick Army Airfield, now Edwards Air Force Base, following graduation from the Air Material Command's Flight Performance School. Now, after Bell Aircraft's test pilot Chalmers Slick Goodwin, he demanded $150,000 to break the sound barrier. Says he's not going up unless they paid him. Now, equivalent today, that would be worth about $2.5 million. Needless to say, they weren't going to do that. So the U.S. Air Force selected 24-year-old Yeager to fly the rocket-powered Bell XS-1 in the NACA program to research high-speed flight. Now, as Yeager was getting ready to fly the Bell X-1, 2 nights before the scheduled flight date, Yeager broke 2 ribs when he fell from a horse. Now, he worried that the injury would remove him from the mission and reported that he went to a civilian doctor in nearby Rosemond who taped up his ribs. Now, besides his wife, who was riding with him, Yeager told only his friend and fellow project pilot, Jack Ridley, about the accident. On the day of the flight, Yeager was in such pain that he could not seal the X-1's hatch by himself, but thinking ahead of time, Ridley had rigged up a device using the end of a broom handle as an extra lever to allow Yeager to seal the hatch. Now, Yeager broke the sound barrier on October 14, 1947, in level flight while piloting the X-1 Glamorous Glennis at Mach 1.05 at an altitude of 45,000 feet over the Rogers Dry Lake over the Mojave Desert in California. Now, the success of the mission wasn't announced to the public for nearly 8 months until June 10, 1948. Yeager was awarded the Mackey Trophy and the Collier Trophy in 1948 for his Mach transcending flight, and the Harmon International Trophy in 1954. The X-1 he flew that day was later on permanent display at the Smithsonian Institute's National Air and Space Museum. Now, during 1952, he attended the Air Command and Staff College. Now, Yeager continued to break many speed and altitude records. He was one of the first American pilots to fly a Mikovan Gurevich MiG-15 after its pilot No Kum-suk defected to South Korea. Now, returning to Marick Air Force Base during the later half of 1953, Yeager was involved in the United States Air Force team that was working on the X-1A, an aircraft designed to surpass Mach 2 in level flight. Now, that year, he flew a chase aircraft for the civilian pilot Jackie Cochran, as she became the first woman to fly faster than sound. On November 20th, 1953, the U.S. Navy program involving the D-558-2 Skyrocket and its pilot Scott Crossfield, as they became the first team to reach twice the speed of sound. After they were bested, Ridley and Yeager decided to beat the rivals' Crossfield speed record in a series of test flights that would be dubbed Operation NACA Weep. I have no idea why and can't find out why. Anyway, not only did they beat Crossfield by setting a new record at Mach 2.44 on December 12, 1953, but they did it in time to spoil a celebration planned for the 50th anniversary of flights in which Crossfield was to be called the fastest man alive. Not anymore. Now, the new record flight, however, did not entirely go as planned. Now, since shortly after reaching Mach 2.44, Yeager lost control of the X-1A at about 80,000 feet. Think about that for a second. Now, due to the inertia coupling, a phenomenon largely unknown at the time, with the aircraft simultaneously rolling, pitching, and yawing out of control, Yeager dropped 51,000 feet in less than a minute before regaining control at about 29,000 feet. He then managed to land without further incident. For this feat, Yeager was awarded a Distinguished Service Medal in 1954. Moving on a few years, Yeager was the commandant of the United States Air Force Aerospace Research Pilot School with a model of the North American X-15 in 1959. Yeager was foremost a fighter pilot and held several squadrons and wing commands. Now, from 1954 to 57, he commanded an F-86H Sabre equipped with the 417th Fighter Bomber Squadron. They were out of Hahn Air Force Base in West Germany. And from 1957 to 1960, the F-100D Super Sabre equipped with the 1st Fighter Day Squadron at George Air Force Base, California, and Morón Air Force Base in Spain. Now, he was a full colonel in 1962 after completion of a year of studies and a final thesis on STOL aircraft. Those are those cool planes that basically can come to a dead standstill and drop where they are. So it's kind of cool. See him a lot up in Canada. Now, he became the first commandant of the U.S. Air Force Aerospace Research Pilot School, which introduced astronauts for NASA and the United States Air Force after its redesignation from the United States Air Force Flight Test Pilot School. Now, he had only high school education, so he was not eligible to become an astronaut like those he trained. In April of 1962, Yeager made his only flight with Neil Armstrong. Now, their job, flying a T-33, was to evaluate Smith Ranch Dry Lake in Nevada for use as an emergency landing site for the North American X-15. It was in his autobiography that he wrote that he knew the lake bed was unsuitable for landing after recent rains, but Armstrong insisted on flying out anyway. As Armstrong suggested that they do a touch and go, Yeager advised against it, telling him, "You may touch, but you ain't gonna go." And when Armstrong did touch down, the wheels became stuck in the mud, bringing the plane to a sudden stop and provoking Yeager to fits of laughter. They had to wait for a rescue. See? He told you so. All right, I'm adding this in here because you shouldn't, even with your heroes, downplay their bad sides. This is one of Yeager's bad sides, and it should be in the record. Yeager's participation in the test pilot training program for NASA included controversial behavior. Yeager reportedly did not believe that Ed Dwight, the first African-American pilot admitted to the space program, should be part of it. In a 2019 documentary series, Chasing the Moon, the filmmakers made the claim that Yeager instructed staff and participants at the school that Washington was trying to cram that down our throats. In his words, President Kennedy is using this to make the racial equality a subject, so he advised everyone not to speak to Dwight, not to socialize with Dwight, don't drink with Dwight, don't invite him over to your house, and in 6 months he'll be gone. In his autobiography, Dwight detailed how Yeager's leadership led to the discrimination treatment throughout his training at Edwards Air Force Base. All right, back to the story. Between December 63 and January 64, Yeager completed 5 flights in the NASA M2F1 lifting body. And now, an accident during the December 63 test flight in one of the school's NF-104s resulted in serious injuries. I mean, look at that thing. After climbing into a near-record altitude, the plane's controls became ineffective and entered into a flat spin after several turns and altitude loss of approximately 95,000 feet. Think about that. You fell 95,000 feet. Yeah. Anyway, Yeager ejected from the plane, and during the ejection, the seat straps released normally, but the seat base slammed into Yeager with still-hot rocket motors, breaking his helmet's plastic faceplate, causing an emergency oxygen supply to catch fire. Now, the resulting burns on his face required extensive and agonizing medical care. This was Yeager's last attempt at setting test flying records. So you would think normally that would be the end of the story, right? Well, no, there's still more. In 1966, Yeager took command of the 405th Tactical Fighter Wing at Clark Air Force Base in the Philippines. Now, those squadrons were deployed on a rotationary temporary duty in South Vietnam and elsewhere in Southeast Asia. Now, there, he flew 127 more missions. In February 1968, Yeager was assigned to command of the 4th Tactical Fighter Wing at Seymour Johnson Air Force Base, North Carolina, and led the McDonnell Douglas F-4 Phantom II Wing in South Korea during the Pueblo Crisis. Now, Yeager was promoted to Brigadier General and was assigned in July of 1969 as Vice Commander of the 17th Air Force. From 1971 to 73, on the behest of Ambassador Joseph Farland, Yeager was assigned to the Air Attaché in Pakistan to advise the Pakistani Air Force, which was led by Abdur Rahim Khan, the first Pakistani to break the sound barrier. Now, he arrived in Pakistan at a time when tensions with India were at their highest levels. One of Yeager's jobs during this time was to assist the Pakistani technicals in installing the AIM-9 Sidewinders on the PAF Shenyang F-6 fighters. He also had a keen interest in interacting with the Pakistani Air Force personnel from various Pakistani squadrons and helping them develop combat tactics. In one instance, in 1972, while visiting the number 15 Squadron Cobras at Peshawar Air Base, the squadron's OC wing commander, Najib Khan, escorted him to K2 in a pair of F-86Fs after Yeager requested to visit the second highest mountain on Earth. Now, after hostilities did break out in 71, he decided to stay in West Pakistan and continued overseeing Pakistani Air Force's operations. Now, Yeager recalled the Pakistanians in a quote. I got to use his voice, don't I? The Pakistanians whipped the Indians' asses in the sky. The Pakistanians scored a 3-to-1 kill ratio, knocking out 102 Russian-made Indian jets and losing only 34 airplanes of their own. Now, during the war, he flew around the Western Front in a helicopter, documenting the wreckage of Indian aircrafts of Soviet origin, which included the Sukhoi Su-7 and the MiG-21s. Now, these aircrafts were transported to the United States after the war for analysis, because that's what we do. It was the Cold War after all. Now, Yeager flew around in his Beechcraft Queen Air, a small passenger aircraft that was assigned to him by the Pentagon that he used to pick up shot-down Indian fighter pilots. The Beechcraft was later destroyed during an air raid by the Indian Air Force at a Pakistani air base, which Yeager was not present at the time. Now, Edward C. Ingram, a U.S. diplomat who had served as a political counselor to the Ambassador Farland in Islamabad, recalled the incident in the Washington Monthly on October of 1985. And a quote, "After Yeager's Beechcraft was destroyed during the Indian air raid, he raged to his cowering colleagues that the Indian pilots had been specifically instructed by Indira Gandhi to blast his plane personally. It was," later he wrote, "the Indian way of giving Uncle Sam the middle finger." Yeager was incensed over the incident and demanded U.S. retaliation that never came. Now, on March 1st, 1975, Yeager retired from the Air Force at Norton Air Force Base in California. Yeah, we're supposed to say, yeah, that's it, right? That's the end? Oh my gosh. This is a long story. This guy did a lot. On October 14th, 1997, on the 50th anniversary of the historic flight past Mach 1, he flew the new glamorous Glennis III, an F-15D Eagle, past Mach 1. Now, the chase plane for the flight was an F-16 Fighting Falcon, piloted by Bob Hoover, a longtime test, fighter, and aerobatic pilot who had been Yeager's wingman for the first supersonic flight. Now, at the end of his speech to the crowd in 1997, Yeager concluded, "All I am, I owe to the Air Force." Later that month, he was a recipient of the Tony Jannus Award for his achievements. Award, award, award. Award, award, award. Over the years, more awards. Awards from presidents. Awards from companies. Awards from other places. My goodness. Now, in 1973, Yeager was inducted into the National Aviation Hall of Fame, arguably aviation's highest honor. 1974, Yeager received the Golden Plate Award from the American Academy of Achievement. December 1975, the U.S. Congress awarded Yeager a silver medal, equivalent to a non-combat medal of honor, for contributing immeasurable to the aerospace science by risking his life in piloting the X-1. President Gerald Ford presented a medal to Yeager in a ceremony at the White House on December 8, 1976. Yeager never attended college, but was often modest about his background, but is considered by many, including Flying Magazine, the California Hall of Fame, the state of West Virginia, the National Aviation Hall of Fame, and a few U.S. presidents, and the United States Army and Air Force, to be one of the greatest pilots of all time. Yeager lived in Grass Valley, Northern California, and died in the afternoon on December 7th, 2020, at the age of 97 in a Los Angeles hospital. Now, following his death, President Donald Trump issued a statement of condolences, stating that Yeager, quote, was one of the greatest pilots in all history. Proud West Virginian and an American original who was relentless in pushing the boundaries of human achievement. Ladies and gentlemen, it may have been long, but it was well worth it. We are talking about the one, the only, Chuck Yeager, true American badass. Hey, once again, we thank everybody for tuning in. GunsInThe701.com and our Badass of the Week. Remember, we try to do this for you every week on our Wednesday show, and we do that at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 7 o'clock Central Time, and on all our social medias. And don't forget also, you can check out all our store stuff that we've got available for you at our website at GunsInThe701.com. You can hit that little barcode thing we got up there. Also, if you want, drop us a little cash. Whatever you want to spare, we can use it to update our equipment, make our studios better, and bring you really, really cool stuff. That's pretty much it for today. We do appreciate you tuning in. And don't forget, we thank you for supporting GunsInThe701.com and 701 Nation. And like my buddy Clay always says, keep your powder dry.
That was great, Mike.
Was that good?
That was a great segment. Awesome. And everybody else must have thought so, because I watched the numbers go up. So I don't know what that says. Maybe they don't want to listen to the rest of us. I don't know. But
we're just the icing on the cake. That's what it is.
Vance Bishop says, great segment, buddy. I can't agree more. That was great. It was a little long, but I remember when you sent that to me, but you know what? We didn't really lose any viewers. We gained.
Well worth it, I think.
So
Yeah,
good job
good,
again, my
good.
friend. Good,
Thank you,
good
man.
job. So what
Appreciate
we'll
it.
do with that is we will definitely be uploading it as it's a separate segment now that we're uploading both on Rumble and on YouTube. YouTube, if you just click the playlist for Badass, you're going to see them there as they start coming in every week. And I think it's a really good deal. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah, woohoo. Golf clap.
Golf clap.
A great segment.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, thanks, Mike. Let's do one quick ad. Let's just run them all, and then we'll come back and kind of wrap up as to what we got going on.
All right, I'll push that button if I can find it here real quick. Hold on one second.
Located at 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Give them a call at 701-258-6308.
The team of mechanics at Lauer Auto can take care of any problem your vehicle is having. And when you do business with Lauer, you can be assured you're doing business with a pro Second Amendment America First repair shop. There are plenty of other auto repair shops in the Bismarck-Mandan area. But why take a chance at patronizing a shop that might not have your beliefs at heart? Make no mistake.
Make no mistake.
Lauer Auto is your pro Second Amendment repair shop. When you talk to the guys at Lauer Auto, don't forget to tell them that you heard they are a sponsor of Guns and the 701 and that you appreciate their support of our pro Second Amendment, pro North Dakota live stream and podcast. That's Lauer Auto Repair, 701-258-6308.
701-258-6308.
Located 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Discover the world of firearms at Bismarck's Double H Gun Shop. With a wide range of products from handguns to rifles, we cater to all your shooting needs. We are your local gun experts. Not only do we sell firearms, reloading supplies, targets, and whatever your heart desires, but we also have a ton of knowledge and answers.
We shoot, we hunt, we compete, we reload.
It's been the Howard's way since 1976, and we ain't fixing to change anything. Visit our website at hhgunshop.com to browse our inventory. Double H Gun Shop, Bismarck's best new and used firearm reloading supply, gunsmithing, and sporting goods store. Double H Guns.
Double H Guns.
1021 South Washington Street, Bismarck, North Dakota. Call 701-223-4888.
Every American's right to bear arms. At Mandan Sporting Goods, we're here to help you support your Second Amendment rights, which reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Whether you're looking for a pistol for personal defense or collector gun, we have the staff to help you. We also have the area's largest inventory of ammo and reloading supplies.
Mandan Sporting Goods, the area's local gun and ammo specialists.
All right. Oh. Which one's that one? We're back? Oh, I see you. Okay.
Now we're back. We're back.
We were back, right? All right.
I made some new ones too. I took some of our old ones and I added some stuff to them too, so they're kind of fun. But yeah,
It's a learning process. We're getting there, and like I said, I'm working with the OSB side of this thing, and that'll help me put everything in, and you can do the fades and it'll be a much smoother and professional look. But
I checked out our Facebook page. We had a lot of people watching on that. We had good numbers on that tonight. Not on a YouTube. Had a bunch of people on there making comments as well. So yeah, it's all been pretty good tonight. We've had some good people tuning in.
Glad to have everybody tuning in.
Tonight.
What's that?
I wasn't on
You want
Facebook.
You're in person here tonight.
That's one down, but that's
I
all
can
right.
tell you, we were maintaining right around that 27 mark with everything. 27 to 30 is what I was seeing. There was nobody on the website tonight, but I'm happy with that. And Rumble is maintaining. We're dropping a little now, but because we're about done. But we were up there around 12 and maintaining that pretty regularly and that's a lot. 12 to 15 on Rumble. That's quite a few. So the channel is growing, and we're happy to have everybody over there. So
we tell everybody, share this. Share our show. When we put out the segments for the Badass on Thursdays, share those as well. And kind of get the word around. So we're getting more and more people. And with that in mind, we've also got some people coming on the show, don't we? We have some announcements for that. So that's you, Clay.
That's right. Well, one quick one. I got to look. I just looked over at Rumble. So your Badass of the week when you did Leo Major.
Mm-hmm.
It's up at 198 views already. So I mean that went fast, and it's been gaining a little bit, ever since. So that just shows you what's happening over in Rumble. And I know that the YouTube one was way up there too. So your segment's popular. Vance, I got to put this out here. He says, "Great show, guys. Don't forget, listeners. Corey Merriman, 605. Call me." Love it. 701 Nation says, "Great segment." Vance says, "Great segment, buddy." Brian Warner, great job again, Mike. Yeah, it's a great segment. I tip my hat to you, Mike. It's a great segment.
Good.
So
Good.
yeah, we got a few announcements here. So Mitchell in the morning tomorrow. Not tomorrow, Friday. That comes on at our new time or regular time, the returned old time. Maybe that's the way to put it. We'll be on at 8:40 Central, 7:40 Mountain. We're going to try to talk about the Australia stabbing, and it's because of the gun control they have going and what happened over there. We got another great deal, and this is that's the Colorado segment that we did not do tonight. I think we'll try to touch on that. And I got a deal from Tennessee. And do you got anything you're going to be adding to that on Friday, Mike?
Possibly. I had one actually where a guy was walking in, and this is over in Europe, walking into a grocery store with a knife. He was pumping himself up outside the thing, and they had the camera on him. And right when the double doors opened up, one of the guys who doesn't have a gun, but met him right when the doors opened and kicked to the face, and then just totally laid waste to him. But I mean, you know what? The guy's got a knife. I mean, you're putting your life at risk. I mean, it'd be better off if you could do it from a distance. You really would. But hey, still taking down one of the dumbasses.
And knife control does exist in those European countries. Just remember that. So we're going to go down that. I'm going to check out that story. Jamie, he actually sent that to us and had to do with the CWD, chronic wasting disease. I'll see what I can find out more about that. I want to dig into that a little bit, but we may touch on that. But we only get about 3 to 4 subjects now on there on Fridays. But we will return back to the old time at a quarter after the hour, 7 o'clock Mountain, 8 Central, after the baseball kneelers are done with their season.
We're seasonal. We're
seasonal. So I guess we had to set our time ahead, though.
Yeah.
So anyway. And then I'll be joining Jamie tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Central Time. We're going to talk a little bit on 701 Nation. I did an AR build, and that was my first one, so he wants to talk a little bit about that. And I'm going to tell you how easy it was or wasn't. I was actually kind of impressed when it was my first one, and it really wasn't that difficult. We're going to touch on some suppressors. Hey, guys, we did a segment on how the ATF – we're bashing the ATF on one side, but I'll tell you this. If you're doing the electronic background checks on the suppressors, they're coming back in 2 and 3 days, and Jamie can give you firsthand knowledge about that.
There you go.
Him and another guy that he sent over to our sponsor, Mandan Sporting Goods, pick up some suppressors. So, we sent them over there. They did all the paperwork, and we're going to touch on that a little bit on the show tomorrow night. And I think he's got his, what's he call that? The celebrity slime ball or something. Jamie, you'll have to chime in here. I can't remember what you call that. But, he basically brings out an anti-gun celeb, and we hammer him a little bit. But tune in tomorrow night for 701 Nation. Then, coming up Friday, of course, Mitchell in the morning, as we just pointed out. Next week, though, on the 24th, Wednesday, on our live stream, we're going to be doing something with Here's the Deal on their podcast. We're going to try to broadcast to both of our channels and platforms, so it'll be a bigger, broader audience. We're going to have Mr. David Sherwood on. The guy was he's actually from New York. He come out here to work. He loves the state of North Dakota. It's a free state. Air Force is where he works, from what I understand. And he went through a divorce, and because of the protection orders that go into effect when you file for divorce, and here's the catch. They went in and took and confiscated all his firearms, but they were at his wife's house, not at his residence. So essentially they went in there warrantlessly, and it's been a 2-year battle, and he can't buy any firearms. He can't possess any firearms. It's just a BS deal. We need to change our law in North Dakota. So I believe we got it rounded up with Shiloh Kilber over there, and here's the deal. Of course, myself over here, and you'll probably be joining us, right, Mike?
Yeah, I'll be there.
And of course,
Corey will be standing outside. We're going to cover him up in foil and make sure that he gets the connection between everybody.
There we go. And then I believe Representative Ben Koppelman North Dakota legislature, who has been instrumental and a big help with a lot of the Second Amendment bills that we've been pushing through. I believe he's going to be on, and we're hoping to have a really, really good discussion about what happened to him and what we can do, and hopefully what we can change this next session. So stay tuned and come and listen in on Wednesday. So
Sounds
with
great.
that, I know there it is. Celebrity shit stain of the week is what he calls that. So we got that. So.
Good thing we pull punches.
Yeah, we're glad. Good thing we're on a podcast. Anyway, that's about all I've got. I said next week's going to be a big show, and I'm really looking forward to visiting with this gentleman. I spent an hour and a half with him on the phone, just talking about what he went through. And South Dakota's not much better, guys. Things that have been overlooked in our firearms and Second Amendment laws in both states are the guys that go through divorces, and the laws are not written in the favor of the man, especially when it comes to this stuff. It's insane. So I want to have everybody tune in and listen in, because we're going to try to bring legislation forth, I believe, in 2025 in North Dakota to make these changes. So other than that, that's all I've got tonight. I want to thank Corey for being my Ed McMahon and my sidekick here.
By the way, if there are any women out there that are gun friendly and own a propane dealership or something like that, Corey would like to talk to you, because he's got his new flamethrower, so he's looking for somebody who can accommodate.
I haven't taken it out of the box yet.
Yeah, he was a big winner. Big winner.
Yeah, remember, it's just an expensive club if you just don't take it out of the box.
And don't forget to hit the store, gunsandthe701.com. There's a big button right at the top. Hit the store, order your gear, and help support the show. Pat, I know you're listening over on the Rumble channel. It's going in the mail tomorrow. It's completed. We got everything done, and I think I threw in a couple little extra things in there for you. So be on the lookout for it. As soon as I have a tracking number, I'll send it to you.
We're calling these things the assault tumblers.
The assault tumblers, and we are working on some tumblers. When we get this figured out, we're probably going to take a pre-order. We're not going to order a bunch and sit on them. We don't want that kind of inventory on hand. So if you're interested in one, but not yet, just we'll let you know when we got them. We're trying to get that price point right where we need them. So,
right.
All right. With that, that's all I got now.
I'm going to hit this button so you can do this new thing I created for you. I think you'll like it.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
Oh. And we're out of there, right? Oh, that's great. Mike's always played around. He's brought us some great stuff. So, well, as I say each and every week, guys, stay good, stay calm. God bless. I'm going to take you out with a prayer tonight, and it's going to be short, but Vance usually does this. So, Lord, we want to thank you for the beautiful day, the beautiful weather we've had, and the freedoms that you have given to each and every one of us that was born in the United States as a citizen. We also want to thank the men and women that protect this country from all enemies, foreign or domestic, and defend that freedom for each one of us as well. Please find and guide our legislatures and our congressmen and women so that they will get back to the roots of the founding. As far as in the Constitution, it was based on your word. If we return to that, we have nothing more to even be afraid of. In your name we pray, Lord. Amen.
Amen.
All right. And of course, how do we end every show, Mike?
Keep your powder dry.
See you, everybody, next week. And we'll see you on KFYR on Friday morning at 8:15 Central, 7:15 Mountain. Take it easy, everybody. Thanks for listening.